Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to another episode of T3PO Live. My name is VashSky. Welcome in. Oh man, I know some of you are back there. All of you will be trickling in soon, I am sure, especially coming off of the Pro Show, which was an amazing show covering a lot of topics all across the entertainment sphere. Hopefully we can bring a little bit more of a theme park perspective, at least, to our show here. Should be some really, really fun stuff. And in order to bring that fun stuff to you, let's go ahead and bring on some amazing guests to help me out with this show. Let's see. We have LW Ghost. Hello there, good sir.
Howdy. Hey there,
Excellent.
Hi there, ho there. You're as welcome as can be, or as can be managed in such short notice, I guess.
Indeed. We have Nolan Thunder. Thunder. Hello there, good sir. Great to see you again. Absolutely. We have Barry Plays 28 coming off of, well, he's got a few things going on in his life, and I'm so grateful for him to be able to be here to, to serenade us with his amazing dulcet tones and amazing insight. And somebody else who will be doing that as well for the first time ever on this show, Ivan from Barcop. And Ivan, what's going on?
Hey, Ivan.
What's up, guys? Awesome to be here. Thank you for bringing me on.
Absolutely. And thank you for coming on. I very much appreciate that.
And
now,
in our pre-greetings, I forgot to mention how much I enjoy your coverage of everything. I really do. So thank you so much for what you do.
I appreciate it. Yeah. Follow Park Hopping.
Yeah,
absolutely. Which, by the way, just got 10,000 subscribers on TikTok recently. I mean, that is, whoa, huge.
We got 10,000 on TikTok thanks to Krista Nova, and we're just killing it over there.
Krista's a force, and I'll tell you what, whenever I'm on the Park Hopping show on Mondays, which, by the way, that schedule, from what I understand, is going to be changing pretty soon. Whenever I'm on that show and Krista is not there, there is a drop off a little bit in viewership. It's pretty wild. It's pretty crazy.
But you don't know if it's because she's missing or because you're there, right?
That's a good point. That's a good point right there. I wanted to go ahead and get things started off very interestingly because I know, Bob, you just had a whirlwind of a trip over there in Orlando, Florida. And specifically, you visited Epic Universe for the first time. Now, I think your experience is going to be a little bit different than some of the others on the panel, and I really want to go ahead and kind of deep dive into what you did experience. I'm going to go ahead and have some B-roll play provided by Nolan himself when he visited there. Please, Bob, your experiences. Good sir.
Unleash the rage!
Yeah, whoa, hey. Well, I got to tell you, so I had dinner with Nolan the Saturday after he had been there. And I got to see his footage and everything and talk to him about what was happening. And it sounded like it was an amazing experience. And I could not wait to go because my wife and my daughter and I were excited that we were going. And Tom F., who's a good mod for the channel, he was there with me and helped me do the live stream. Well, unfortunately, my experience was a lot different from what everyone else's because when we got there in the early morning, they were like, okay, so because you're a hotel guest, you get to go in at 8 a.m. Great. So I got in at 8:10. By the time I got over to Super Nintendo World, which is what we wanted to hit first, it was about 8:20 in the morning or so. Oh, guys, can you hold on 1 second? I apologize. One moment.
Absolutely, please. I know.
All good. So since he's got to step away for a minute, you know what? I will condense his little thing. What he's actually trying to say is it was the most divine experience he ever had in his life. Everything I hyped up about it was perfect. He said he transcended everything I said about it.
Yes, yeah. I don't think everything went according to plan, but I know that.
Nolan, are you taking PR lessons from Catherine Jean-Pierre?
I know that Bob was there.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Please go ahead.
I had my AC going in my house, and so the workers were here, and they were actually just finishing up and trying to give me, all the instructions and stuff. So sorry about that.
Anyway, your mileage varied from Nolan's.
It did. So. When we got in line at 8:20 for Super Mario Kart, and we're like, this is gonna be awesome. We're like, how come the line's not moving? Well, at 8:40 a.m. they suddenly announced, guess what, everyone? The ride is now officially open. What do you mean the ride's now officially open? I thought you guys opened at 8 a.m. I've been standing in this line for 20 minutes, and you guys haven't been open? Okay, well, that was weird. And then we proceeded to head over to, by the way, the whole thing took an hour and 20 minutes waiting in line. So getting there for that extra hour really didn't help at all. We went over to Donkey Kong Country and we rode the Minecart Madness, and we did single rider because it was a really long line. And then we headed to the front of the park where I proceeded to start my live stream. Now, the great thing was Isle of Berk here is where we headed first. And we caught the Untrainable Dragon show, which was amazing. It was a great show. And then my daughter says, hey, I'm hungry. Can we get something to eat? And I said, sure. So we went over to Meat Hall, and we actually had some food there, which is right there behind that fountain, Meat Hall there. So it was kind of cool because we were like, okay, we're hitting these things. But in that time, it had been 5 hours, and we'd only covered 2 rides, 1 show, and lunch. And I told my family, I said, listen, we're not going to make it through this whole entire park. There's only 11 rides in the park, but we need to go over and see if we can get some express passes, because otherwise we're not going to make it through everything today. And I definitely want to make sure that I get on Monsters Unchained as well as onto the Harry Potter ride, Battle for the Ministry. And so we headed over to guest services, and we proceeded to wait in line for 2 hours. Just guest services. And while we're waiting in line, and you can hear it on my live stream if you go back, but people are really getting upset and they're starting to complain. And I asked Tom, because he had gotten there before, I said, what's going on? He goes, well, apparently some people have not gotten on any rides. Some people have only gone on 1 or 2 rides, and everyone's ticked off because this is not the day they expected. Well, one of the things they did, unfortunately, was they let a lot more people into the park. They sold way more tickets. In fact, I told Nolan when I saw him that Saturday night, I'm like, you see, you can buy tickets for the rest of the week. I couldn't do that when I was planning this trip. This is crazy. Well, that should have been an omen to me that they have oversold the park and there was way too many people there. And so some people were asking for refunds, some people were asking for express passes, and some people were asking for passes to another park. And the manager that came out to talk to us said, you know what, we know you're not happy. We want to, make this experience as best as possible, and so you can either get a refund, express passes, or tickets to the park. And it turns out that was further from the truth, because they were doing tickets to another park, but they were not giving any refunds, and they were not doing express passes. So after waiting for 2 hours in line, mind you, now we've been there for 7 hours, 2 rides, lunch, and a show. That's it. And so I said, listen, I just want to buy some express pass. I know some people are asking for them. I just want to buy them. No, you can't get those. Okay, well, are you going to give them to me for free? Because I was willing to buy them. Nope. The only thing we'll do is we'll give you tickets to come back another day. And I'm like, but I'm not here for another day. I'm from California, and I've got all my other days planned out. I'm going to other Universal parks and whatnot. I said, sorry, but I'm not coming back. Well, sorry, that's the only thing we're giving you. So if you want a day to come back, I said, so when am I supposed to come back? They're like, oh, it's good forever. And I said, okay, well, I guess the ticket's good forever. That's a good thing. My wife, she was ticked. She was so upset by this whole experience. She was basically saying, I never, ever want to come back to Epic Universe again. I'm like, ever? And she's like, ever. This is how bad this experience is. And it just, unfortunately, seemed to get worse as we went along. So the one thing is, the manager did say he would give us 3 single attraction passes. They call them SAPs. Basically, it's like an express pass to use on 3 separate rides. And then the funny thing was, the employee was trying to gyp us and give us only 2, and had to get the manager back involved. It was not a very good experience. And I know Ivan, and I'm sure we'll talk about this because I was following Ivan the full 10 days that he was there. He had mentioned about people standing in line for guest services, and unfortunately, they only had 3 people working guest services. When I first stood in line, there was only 2, but the whole thing was not handled very well, and they didn't seem to be very empathetic to the fact that people were having bad experiences. In fact, the person we had, as nice as he was trying to be with us, he actually said, sorry, but I would have told you to wait 6 months and not even come to this park right away. The other thing that was kind of disappointing too, and we were just starting to show it there, was one of the shows in the Harry Potter world for the Battle of Ministry was not working. It wasn't even on that day. So I'm like, wait, the ride or the show is shut down. There's only one other show, 11 rides. The Harry Potter Battle for Ministry, by the way, they announced at 8:30 in the morning that day that it was not going to open at 9 a.m. and they had no idea when it was going to open. They did not make another announcement for 4 hours, and at 12:30 p.m. they finally announced to everyone, sorry, we're escorting everyone out of the line. You're going to get an express pass, come back. If you don't have the express pass, you're not getting back in. The line for that ride was 4 to 5 hours the rest of the day. When we tried to go over there to get in line, they said only if you had the express pass could you get in line, and single rider was shut down. So it was like, oh my gosh. I mean, I'm not even going to get to go on the major ride I wanted to. The other thing was we really wanted to show everyone the line queue for Monsters Unchained. And so we waited in line, and an hour in, the ride breaks down. They announced the ride's broken down. They're not sure when it's going to open. They announced after a half hour that the ride is back up. And we're like, hey, this is great. They turn the lights back on. You hear the sounds, ride and everything, the attraction. But the line is not moving. And it turns out it broke down again, but they didn't say anything to anyone. So finally, after almost another half hour, they said, ride's broken down. We're not sure when it's going to be back open. Long story short, we had already been in line for an hour when the ride broke down. By the time they finally got the ride open, we rode it and got off it. It was a 2 hour and 38-minute experience for one ride. So most of the rides were about 2 hours long for that day. So if you didn't have an express pass, you weren't going to get on all the rides. For 11 rides in the park, you should be able to get on most of the rides. But the 2 rides that we did not get on were the Constellation Carousel and Battle of Ministry. And of course, we didn't get to see the Harry Potter show. So for me, it was very disappointing. And I know that the brand new park, I know that, everything's new and things do break down. I too understand that. But for me, I had my wife and my daughter and one of my friends and mods with me. And it was a very, it wasn't a very fun experience. It was more like we were trying to rush to get everything done, and we weren't really happy because we were rushing through everything. And even though we were rushing, we were having to wait in these really long lines. And all I heard the whole entire time from my wife was, "This is taking too long. I'm not happy. I want to go home." And I was like, So for me, it was I loved Epic Universe. It was a beautiful land or park. Each of the lands were amazing and very interactive. I was surprised because I thought Darkmoor was going to be a little bit bigger. Isle of Berk was an amazing size, and it was perfect for what it was. I liked Harry Potter for what I saw, but I didn't get to spend much time there, unfortunately, in the France pavilion area. But I will say that overall, it was more disappointing than fun. And that's the bummer thing.
I want to incorporate Ivan here again from Park Hopping. First time on
just
T3PO
1 second though.
Live.
Bob, this was how many days after opening day?
This is on Wednesday, so it literally was 6 days after it opened. No, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. 7 days.
Yeah. Okay.
Joining us as well, Erika from Erika and Raph, coming straight off the Bro Show. Thank you so much for joining us here. Ivan, I want to ask you really fast. I know you were there for Epic Universe on a number of days. Did you see any of that or experience any of what Bob actually went through yourself, or did you hear about stories in which people may have experienced something similar? Your thoughts, please.
Yeah, so...
Sorry, Bob. I do apologize. Go ahead, Ivan.
No, so I was there for 10 days. It wasn't planned, but because they also did not announce on the website that they were selling tickets same day and that sort of thing. And I was there for, content and to experience a new theme park. And I was not going to leave anytime soon. So I was like, let's just go again. Let's go again. My experience was there were good days and bad days. I would even say some of the days that it was raining was not that bad. But the bad days were like suddenly the Saturday, the second Saturday that Epic was officially open, that's when everything picked up. That was like my 2-3 days before leaving Orlando, and everything was high. And so I couldn't even do most of my content or even experience the rides that much fully or complete that day. And I'm like solo, so I should be able to breeze through them. Even the single rider lines were a little bit heavy and long. But I did do an experiment. I felt 2 times, which was the early entry. I tried doing an early entry my first time. It failed miserably because I was like, let me do Battle of the Ministry let me rope drop it. And that went horrible because apparently they let people run, and then the people that are like in first place get to board the ride, and then they get to board the ride, and then they get to board the ride by like 30 minutes before they're out of the ride, 30 minutes before park opens, So I wasn't fast enough, I was walking it, and apparently like maybe 100 people in front of me or more got lucky, and I was still in line. And as soon as I got in the line in the extended queue for that early entry morning, I was already 2 hours before the ride, 2-hour wait. And I was like, what? But I just came to this ride. How am I here for 2 hours? And then also they were opening the ride. It was not offered as a early entry ride, but they were still opening the ride at 8:30 on those days that it opened at 9, the park. And on the day that I chose to do the early entry, they were not. So I was like, they just, maybe they caught up. They were doing the right thing. They were supposed to open it when the park opened. So I tried another day, and that day, I don't know what happened the second day, but on my third try, everything went better because I chose to do Donkey Kong, and Donkey Kong usually is a high wait time most of the day. It's a very low capacity ride too, because it just has one loading area. It has 4 people per vehicle. It does have the what is it called, the treadmill loading. So
yes, the continuous loading.
It's a little bit quick, but it still can be slow. I did that successfully. Early entry within my first early entry hour. Then I went to Dark Universe and I did the Curse of the Werewolf, which I recommend doing before Dark Universe, because that one only also has a one loading track. So I did that, and I finished that by opening by 10 o'clock, because the park opened at 10. By 10 o'clock, I was done with those two rides, and I boarded Monsters and Chain, and I got out of Monsters and Chain, and I kind of gave up after that. After it was like 10:15, 10:20, and I just said, okay, I could keep riding rides or continue my itinerary, whatever else I have to do. And I just said, okay, let me continue whatever else, because I didn't continue after that. But at least I said, hey, you know, by 10:30, I can board my fourth ride, and that's not too bad.
Mhm.
So there are good days and bad days. I think what Barry experienced, unfortunately, it sucks, because there were days like that I saw, like that Barry experienced, because I was there leaving on a couple of nights, and those guest service booths that they have at every portal were all
Mhm.
packed. They were all closed off.
Yeah.
They already had lines. And then I still exit the park, and the one in front of the gate, in front of the Chronos, is also has a long line. So there was a lot of issues on certain days. And I think some of it has to do with how they operate also early entry. And I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
a lot of the people waiting in those guest service booths were also resort guests for early entry. And so it's understandable, you know, like it sucks.
I will say one of the things they were trying to do is they were trying to mitigate the lines, because the manager came out and said, here's a business card. If you take this business card, you can go to a restaurant, you can go someplace where it's nice and cool. You don't have to stand in this line, call guest services. They'll take care of you. What he failed to tell everyone is, even if you call guest services on the phone, you have to go back to the guest services booth to resolve your issue. So to me, I'm glad I didn't get out of line to call, because once I found that out, there were some people who were really upset who had to get back in line after they already stood in line for an hour or so to resolve their issue. And to me, that's not really resolving people's issues. You should be able to do it over the phone, or you should be able to do it in person. And they should be able to do it quicker. For each transaction, when Tom F. had to do his transaction just for his one ticket, it took him 20 minutes to replace that one ticket and give him 2 SAPs. When it took me and my family, my daughter and my wife, it took another 20 minutes just for that transaction. And it was like, this is ridiculous. Why is it taking so long to exchange these tickets? It should be a fast process. And that's why the line took, 2 hours for us to wait in, is because it took so long to do any transaction whatsoever. I do appreciate the fact that Universal was trying to, make up for the experience. And I'm glad that they were able to give us a new theme park ticket. But unfortunately for me, it just didn't work out on this trip. And I probably won't be able to use it for, maybe another 6 months to a year or longer. Who knows when I'm going to go back to Florida? Hopefully sooner than that. But it was just one of those experiences. And I was glad that I got to watch other people like Ivan. Because Ivan, I was watching your streams and your stuff, your content every single day. And it was funny because I think one time you were like, I can't believe all these people are standing in line for this. And I'm like, if you only knew the experience I had, Ivan. and I was like, talking to you, even though you couldn't hear me. And I was like, this was not the experience I thought I was going to have. And again, I think that once they work out the kinks, and look, every park, Disneyland had issues when it first opened, right?
Oh,
the bathrooms had to be working, but the fountains weren't working, and all sorts of things weren't working. And you can even hear Lily and Disney to this day, on recordings talking about how nothing worked in the park. And I get those things, do happen, and things do get better. And I know Epic Universe is going to get better too. I just was surprised that after opening so many theme parks and everything, that they weren't more prepared. It seemed like they did everything they could to make the first 3 or 4 days amazing. And then after that, they just didn't care.
Do you think those people that told you take the card, it'll be fine, knew better, or were being basically lied to by their superiors?
I think they did not know that they were going to have to get back in line, because turns out the guy who was talking to us from management was from parking management. He was told to come over and help guest services because of all the issues and complaints that they were having. So they had managers, not from operations, but from other departments, who were coming over to help out. And I just don't think he knew.
Which is almost worse, because without the experience, they're trying to do the right thing and they have no clue as far as what the actual procedure. Yeah.
Correct.
That's bad.
it's one thing to have new attractions, right? Opening brand new rides that really have never operated before. We saw this actually with Universal Studios Florida when it opened in 1990. You know, a lot of those attractions like Confrontation, Jaws, and so forth, they had never really been done before. They had problems because of those, right? Which was really unfortunate to see and experience, especially if you came looking for some amazing ways to ride the movies. With Epic Universe, the hype surrounded it. I mean, it's just a massive degree, especially in the social media era. But again, that cuts two ways, right? And so a lot of people descended on the parks. I know they restricted capacity to some degree, in order to prevent these parks from being overrun. But still, you know, people descended on Epic Universe expecting a fantastic time, and perhaps some people did in the initial days. But as they started opening up capacity, the cracks really started to show. And it's unfortunate that they didn't have better guest recovery options. It's unfortunate Oh, please.
I'm also curious, Bob, when you went to the other parks, were there problems there too? And the reason why I ask is, presuming they took the best and most senior people that they already had and moved them to the new venue, did that leave holes in the next level of experience at the other parks as well? Or not? I don't know.
You know, we had mostly great experiences at the other Universal parks. So
good.
There's a few, you know, one thing that Universal and SeaWorld do not do well is loading rides at any of their parks, unfortunately. So that was something we ran into at all the parks, but we actually got really good service, and most employees seemed to really care at all the other parks. And so I didn't feel like, you know, oh, they took the best employees from Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios and they put them over here, which they probably did, but it didn't feel that way. And I felt like it was still, I had better experiences over at the other parks than I did at Epic Universe, unfortunately.
Right. Well, it's tremendously aggravating, and it's sad that maybe Epic wasn't prepared in all ways, especially at guest services. Really, that's your last line of defense, especially when dealing with.
I have one more question about that early opening hour. Obviously, the rides were screwed up. Yep. Were the retail and food things open and working? Or, in other words, I understand if you get an early hour, you want to run in and get on the best rides first and then worry about breakfast or whatever. But if you went the other way, you said, well, let's not eat at the hotel because we're going to be there early. We can go in someplace over there. Were those things open, or were they experiencing the same kinds of issues that the rides were?
So the stores, there's actually a store on each side of the park when you first walk in. And those stores were open, and they did have the Starbucks open. And I thought there was another restaurant that was open as well. The Atlantic was not open, but that doesn't open until later in the afternoon.
Right. That's more of a lunch and dinner place than a morning place.
But everything else seemed to be up and going. It was just disappointing that the fact that, like, hey, you can get there an hour early and get a head start before everyone else.
Yeah,
but then
sure.
It was like, yeah, I got
your first thought is not let's have breakfast. It's let's get on a ride that's going to get crazy as the day goes on.
Right.
Sure.
And I will tell you, Tom F., thank you to Tom F. He actually came and picked me and my wife and my daughter up from the hotel and took us over to the park. And we parked and then got in line because there was a huge line to get into the park, but it moved very fast. We got in at 7:45. By 8:10, we were in the park. But I will tell you, anyone that was taking a bus from their hotel, whether it was a Universal hotel or not, over to the park, it was packed. And so I'd recommend you try to either not take one of the buses, or if you have to take the bus, take it as early as you can. Don't take it like, 45 minutes to an hour before. Take it like an hour and a half to 2 hours before, if you can, over to the park, because the lines to get on the buses were quite insane.
Well, some really good advice there, and hopefully things do improve sooner rather than later, especially with a new burgeoning park that people are very excited to see. And apparently Universal may have gotten a little bit of that feedback and is looking to do something about it. What am I talking about, folks? I'm talking about, well, this right here from That Park Place. Yeah. Epic Universe expansion begins as Project 915 permits reveal new construction plans. This by Marvin Montanero, June 16, 2025. Universal's Epic Universe may have just opened its gates, but that's not stopping the company from getting to work on its first major expansion. Just weeks after its grand debut, new permits filed with the Orange County confirm the arrival of something big that right now is simply called Project 915. While Epic Universe has been quietly wrapping up final touches like landscaping, pathway refinements, and signage behind the scenes, Universal has also been filing a wave of new construction permits that signal imminent expansion. Among the most vague filings are entries simply marked as, quote, professional services. Two in particular stand out, permits for something entirely new under the project name 915. And this isn't a small upgrade. One of the permits describes a 40,000 square foot construction site, including foundational groundwork, utility relocation, new utility installations, and full site grading. Another permit tied to the project lists vertical construction, a clear signal that steel will soon start rising in one of the park's undeveloped zones. Both permits are set to expire in December 2025, which gives Universal a firm window to begin and possibly complete this next phase of Epic Universe. If you've been tracking that park place for some time, you'll note that Ethan Becker over there, theme park wizard that is, actually wrote an article on that park place talking about the files that he actually noticed, and those were very, very interesting. This from Ethan, May 21st, 2025. You can see right here the notice of commencement filing that he actually found actually listed a contractor by the name of Falcon's Attractions, which usually does some interactive dark ride type experiences. Very interesting about that is that they recently acquired Oceaneering Entertainment Systems. Who's Oceaneering Entertainment Systems? Well, they are the ones that actually do the scoop vehicles, specifically those kind of found at Spider-Man or maybe on the Jurassic World dark ride adventure that you actually see over there in Beijing at that park over there. And from what I understand, actually did the audiomatronics for this as well. So the fact that Falcon's Attractions is being connected to this notice of commencement for a site in Epic Universe is very, very cool indeed. But some people have been theorizing as to what themes this might be. And there are two big rumors right now: Luigi's Mansion or Zelda. And I want to go ahead and forward it to the panel. Which ones do you think, and which ones do you want? Please.
I can't wait to bomb some Dodongos. Give me some Zelda, baby, please. I've been waiting so long.
I'm hopeful that it's Zelda, but I don't know. It could be Luigi's Mansion. Who knows? But I will tell you, it's right next to Super Nintendo World. So I mean,
that is the portion that we think is these two new permits.
Correct.
Right. Well,
and what's interesting to me about that picture, you see that square puddle? That used to be some of those temporary offices. So the fact that with the park about to open and everything going on, they actually put an investment in putting those offices. Granted, they're temporary, but still, you got to wire them and you got to plumb them and you got to have a space for them. Obviously, a foundation, or that puddle wouldn't be there. And to take it out again that quick after the opening tells you they're really going fast on this, and maybe faster than they originally planned. And at one time, way back when, this area was designated as a parade staging area, but that apparently has changed. So this will be it. And as you can see, you see that little bit of green wall up in the upper left-hand corner. This is Nintendo to the left here. And this is right across from the Atlantic.
Right.
So we'll see what's going to go in there. But when people have projected the size of the building permit versus the size of the overall plot, it's about the size of the big soundstage buildings at Universal Studios. It's that big a building. And of course, how tall, we don't know.
Bob, go ahead and finish your point. Then I want to throw it to Erika for her thoughts.
Oh, no.
The
funny thing was, I was going to say that Nolan and Ivan, I don't know if you noticed that plot of land, but then you guys showed it right now, just a few minutes ago. And to me, that plot of land, it's not that big of an area. I mean, it looks big, but also looks kind of small too. So I'm really kind of curious. I think it's going to be more Nintendo related, obviously. I just don't know what ride they're going to do. To me, it would be, I think that they would score, more points if they tried to do Zelda. But then again, if you do a Zelda, what are you going to do? There's not much area for a land, and that's
in this overhead. It's the one at the bottom. It's the right there.
Yep.
And then the bigger adjacent to Nintendo that people have talked about being Luigi's and Zelda's is that big one there.
Yeah.
And then if you keep going left just to go around these empty spots, that is all behind Dark Universe, and they're talking about a Black Lagoon boat ride. And then you've got this one over here, which is behind Harry Potter, which way back people rumored was going to be a Hogwarts dining experience where the food magically came up through your table or whatever. And then you have the mother of all expansion pads, which is this, which has got to be a completely new IP land, whatever. And then you have the small one over here on the right, the orange or goldenrod or whatever we want to call it, over there by the bus lanes and whatever. And then let's not forget, folks, as I mentioned when we talked about this last night, there's all this land around the park which is being acquired when Lockheed finally decides to move out. And this is the company that did that great Hogwarts train ride between two parks. So there is conceivably a way to pick people up, put them on a themed transportation venue, and take them way outside the initial footprint to yet another expansion land beyond Celestial Park and beyond the existing lands. So we shall see.
I will say the one thing I liked the way the Epic Universe looked. I thought it was amazing and beautiful. Each of the lands was, very creatively done. The one thing I was disappointed in is that, I kept hearing from Universal, this is the biggest theme park we've ever done. These are the biggest lands. But to me, it felt like they were too small. Burke felt like it was a nice size and it was okay. Celestial Park is a nice size and everything. But to me, everything else felt a little small. Now, granted, I was only there for the one day. I'm zooming through these as fast as possible, but I expected Darkmoor to be a lot bigger. And I think, like Lou just mentioned, there's plenty of room to expand these lands out. And it'll be great when they're able to do that because I feel like they need to do more. The other thing I forgot to mention, too, that I was disappointed about is that leading up to my visit at Epic Universe, I saw all these amazing videos of the dragons and the Vikings and of Darkmoor with the Invisible Man and Igor. You saw all these great videos. Not once the whole entire day did I see any characters except for the two that came into the Meads Hall, and that was Rough Nut and Tough Nut. Those are the only two that I saw. I never saw any characters the rest of the day. The dragons come out. So I'm walking around these lands going, where's all the stuff that I saw before? Where are all these characters? It feels like it's not a living, breathing world like it did when I was watching this on video. So that was the other thing that was disappointing to me, is that they were all missing. I never got to see any of them except for Rough Nut and Tough Nut. And they went to go to some other tables and they left. They didn't really hang around the Mead Hall very long. So to me, it was a little disappointing in that aspect as well.
Yeah. The baby dragons. I forget their names already. There's like 3 of them. They could do better with letting guests know, because when I was there, I was trying to get them for content, and I was like, I'm asking this team member and then this team member, they don't know. You're supposed to ask the team members that actually follow Rough Nut and Tough Nut, or what's it called, or Hiccup, or the other guy, the other character in the town, because they're the ones that actually have a schedule. They have a schedule. They carry a schedule. And then the baby dragons are located in a specific spot. But I think that Universal should consider putting a schedule sign right there. Like at Super Nintendo World with Mario. Oh, the next meetup is at 8 or whatever, 3 o'clock. Because when I asked the team member, they brought out their schedule. They're like, oh, yeah, they're actually going to be out in 30 minutes. I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. I'll see them. But it's like nobody knows. They'll just come out. What happens is that they'll come out, and then people that are walking by, they're like, oh, look, there they are. And then it's just not announced. So I know a lot of people are looking for them. And it's not just those. I think there's like other characters, like even in Dark Universe, when does Frankenstein and Brighter Frankenstein come out? I think you just need to do some adjustments.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen all the characters. Donkey Kong, I thought that was an amazing looking character, but you go to Donkey Kong Country and there's no Donkey Kong. It's like
that. Okay. Yeah, that's the one where supposedly there's discrepancies between the team members. Like some of them, I guess maybe they're trying to just not give out too much info, and they're like, we don't know, he's just random. And another team member says, oh, he's out every day for like 3 times until like 3 times in the morning, like 3 times from the morning till like sometime afternoon. I'm like, okay. And I only saw him once after seeing him the first time on opening day, because he's like at late afternoon and evening, he's not there at all. So I think that's actually kind of disappointing, because you have his house, you have that whole area that's dedicated to him, and they're not doing anything with it. At least have maybe Diddy Kong, have somebody else. I know that it's hot and humid in the suit, all that fur, maybe it has something to do with it. Maybe they don't have maybe they don't have actors.
It's very bizarre.
So it sounds like overall they've still got a lot to learn in the way of management skills and operation skills here. It's all well and good that they got all those great Imagineers to build these amazing things, but if you can't staff them right and you can't get everybody on the same page as far as the information being given out to guests, you haven't solved the problem. And I am in no way, and I told you so because I've been looking forward to this like everybody else, but I have zero plans to go until the fall, partly to avoid the terrible weather in the summertime, but partly because I figured let's give them some time to break it in and make it work. But when you consider the weeks of previews we're supposed to do that, that's what soft openings are for. And I guess they didn't quite pull it off. That's a shame.
That's it is really a shame. Long Rua with the 50,000 Vietnamese dong, I believe. The boat ride system by Mac, rumored for Zelda, just got a prototype built in France. Future scope called Mission Bermuda, saying it will blow your mind. Whoa!
Have you guys seen that Mission Bermuda? It's pretty cool. It's actually a roller coaster boat that actually moves and sways, and it's really cool. They try to do their best on theming. No one does theming quite like Universal and Disney, but it's pretty awesome. I think there's a video on YouTube as well as Instagram that shows mostly the whole entire ride. So
I see 4 so far, and all of them say this is a real soaker. So if you want to get wet,
it is a soaker. It'll get you wet. Yeah. But it looks fun and it looks different, So who knows? That'd be awesome. There we go. There it is, right there.
Lift hills and thrills with this with this video right here. That is very interesting. I know Mac was working on something that was a little bit more, I think a little bit more stimulating, let's say,
aggressive,
than like Atlantis, for example.
Yeah.
So that's really encouraging. Wow,
and that's when you just mentioned a word, and it occurred to me to mention it again here because I did last night. All of this talk about expanding and all of the talk about Zelda puts aside the fact that way back it was going to be Zelda that was going to take the place of all the Atlantis stuff at Islands. And so we still have no idea what's going to happen there, because that's obviously not happening. It's going to happen over at Epic as far as Zelda is concerned. Yeah. So, who knows what'll happen over there? Now, is this part of the ride, or is this the back?
It is part of the ride. It actually goes backwards, goes up a lift, and then takes you down, which is really cool.
That is awesome, right there. That's super cool. It's like Atlantis 2.0. Very, very cool. That'd be very, very intriguing. I know, one of the comments from a lot of people was like, need a boat ride, need a traditional boat ride or dark ride type boat ride experience that you would see like at Pirates of the Caribbean, for example, for Epic Universe. I think that would be a great addition. Erika, your thoughts on all of this?
It's funny. Europa Park has a ride. It's a boat ride, and it's like half roller coaster, half water ride. I forget the name of it, and I can't remember the section of the park that it's in, but it's blue, and the ride vehicles are boats. So I'm really intrigued as to what Mac has in store for that kind of concept of an attraction.
Very intriguing indeed.
Water when it's hot, that's a pretty good combo for Florida. And as far as like Zelda or Luigi, it's the small area that they have permitted, Vash?
Mhm.
Not the large area.
Yes, Project 915 is associated with this kind of smaller area. Let me see if I can get the image right there. But there are a slew of different notice of commencements and permits for multiple of these expansion pads. It's just 915 is most associated with this, which is kind of why I'm leaning, at least for this area, more Luigi's Mansion. Also, too, I have heard now from multiple people that whatever concepts that Universal dreams up for Zelda keeps getting rejected. So that might be, even though it obviously clearly has demand and there is ambition for it, it just might be a little bit later on. Whereas Luigi's Mansion, can definitely fill this area and provide yet another attraction that people can experience in Epic.
Mind if I chime in for a second?
Please, no.
I could definitely see them putting Luigi's Mansion on the smaller plot of land compared to Zelda. Because when you think of like Zelda, especially with like games like Breath of the Wild, Zelda is known for vast open land, much like Lord of the Rings or something like that. The scale of exploration ever since the 1980s, that's been a part of the medieval gist of Legend of Zelda. The cool thing about Luigi's Mansion compared to a lot of other franchises is it is pretty much layered. If you ever see the actual mansion that is found within the game itself, it's got a first floor, a second floor, a basement. It's literally a mansion. And if they already have experience with this, with say Super Nintendo World, surprisingly, where there's an upper section, there's a lower section, it breaks off into things. It's not just a flat. This isn't Illinois, people. There's layers to this thing. It goes up and down all around. And I think a Luigi's Mansion type recreation could fit in perfectly there. So I do see that happening over Zelda, especially if Zelda can be pushed back a bit, with everything we've been hearing behind the scenes.
Well, and we've been so insistent on, Zelda's coming because of the appearance of Zelda in that store outside of Nintendo, in the iconography and also the merch. So maybe that's kind of that. To what degree is that either Universal or Nintendo fighting over, hey, this should be next, no, this should be next? I don't know. But when you said the Zelda stuff they've done has been rejected, by who? By Universal or by Nintendo?
Nintendo.
Yeah. So there you go. And everybody assumed that when what's his name, the Japanese guy, was there for the opening, that he was going to make some sort of announcement, and that never happened. So,
Erika.
Well, it seems like Zelda has more lore, and given the space here with Nintendo World being so saturated with Mario and Donkey Kong, I think Luigi's Mansion, thematically speaking, makes more sense. And then you could easily put an attraction there that's like Buzz Lightyear, or Midway Mania Toy Story, but it's ghosts, with like a little round gun looking thing. You go ghost hunting,
well, the point being that small piece of land is a one attraction piece. And exactly. Luigi's just Mansion is a one attraction IP as opposed to Zelda, which could be two or more.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, is that small plot of land, Luigi's Mansion would make more sense. It's smaller and it's thematically makes more sense. And then Zelda, I think they seem to have a lot they need to figure out, because Zelda Zelda could be its own park. There's a lot of lore with Zelda. So I don't know what the back and forth is, but hopefully it's because they want it to be that good. So I say be patient. Patience is a virtue. And by the time they get it all together, it's just going to be that much more amazing,
Absolutely. Theme Park Wizard chiming in here. It will not be an attraction. Project 915 is a 40,000 square foot event building. So it'll be Celestial Park expansion. That's also interesting as well. Something that we hadn't previously considered. And honestly, I think anything that they add to this park, I think right now would be a welcome addition, no matter what it is. I think there are targeted expansions, obviously, for more attractions and so forth. But But it'd be interesting to see kind of what is added and what is prioritized by Universal themselves. Go ahead, Nolan. I think you had something to say.
Thank you. I'll tell you what they need prioritized, especially if they're expanding onto Celestial Park, is they need to get a designated gift shop already for the Celestial side of things. Because if you actually explore all the gift shops across the Epic Universe, there's not a lot of stuff that's themed to, like, you know, astrology and the stars, you know, which is a big part of the motif. You know, you got Stardust Racers and all that. I was shocked at the sheer lack of anything themed to that. There were some like little there was like a chocolate type gift shop that had kind of like, oh, you're like sailing through the sky on like a pirate ship or something like that. But we were trying to find some merchandise themed to that, and we had like no luck. Apparently, we weren't the only people to ask. So if they are expanding, please, Universal, make that priority number one if you're expanding Celestial Park.
Yeah, there was like barely any Celestial Park, you know, like a shirt, a hat. I was surprised. That was, to me, that was the most surprising thing about this park. Might be the most underrated. Just, you know, because I like my parks to have the chill spots. Like there's literally like a whole park within the park that's for that.
Very good.
You mean a place with fountains and with the equivalent of the rivers of America?
Exactly.
What a concept.
Putting the park back in theme park. What is this heresy? You can't do that. No, not
well,
indeed.
I've always thought that had all right, look, I appreciate respecting your limits, and I appreciate saying we can do this much better as opposed to doing more and having it be less good. But I have thought for a long time that had all that Hulu money happened sooner, and now we've only just, they would have had one more land here, because it always feels like it's one IP too few to me.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. One last question. Ivan, Nolan, and even Bob. Did you smell anything on the Harry Potter side at all? Because I know that's a kind of a topic of discussion in Twitter there, especially with some outlets.
Vash, all I smelled was pure happiness and sweat. That was all I smelled.
Sometimes they're both the same thing.
Fair enough.
I will say over by Super Nintendo World, I smelled something that smelled like sewer, and I did not notice that in Harry Potter, though.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. I think I know what Barry's talking about. The restrooms at Nintendo, I think even sometimes at Hollywood, they tend to be, you might not want to stand near the restrooms at Nintendo. I don't know why. But at Stardust Racers, Harry Potter there, where like it's like you're the closest proximity to that sewage plant.
Yep.
I was there 11 days. I don't know, 10 days. 10 days. I didn't smell anything.
Fair enough. All right. Well,
don't tell them it's the smell of happiness, or they'll be selling a cologne.
Oh no!
I have one recommendation to put in your theme park bags. It's called poopery. Just saying.
So I will say one other thing that I noticed, and I don't know if you noticed this, Ivan, as well, but as I was walking through the park and seeing, you know, different areas, like in the restrooms, I was disappointed because literally all the caulking and the different parts that could be sealed, it was deteriorating already. The concrete outside of Super Nintendo World was already breaking up and damaged in certain areas. And I was just thinking, this is really weird. I did not expect to see so much of the park, you know, damaged in different areas. And I know it's brand new, it's opening up, but I was disappointed because they've been working on this for such a long time.
Yeah,
that they didn't expect to see that. So
I saw some stuff too, like little tiny spots where like it looked like they were already like deteriorating as well. Even inside of Nintendo World there, I think it's just so much foot traffic, but I think they could maybe like really up their maintenance a bit. It wouldn't be a bad idea.
Well, upping maintenance, I think, is the topic for, well, it's a topic coming up, actually. If you've been following that park place for long enough, you'll know that Disneyland has been particularly troublesome in the maintenance aspect, especially when you factor in, well, it's a 70-year-old park, right? But this was a park also, too, left to its own devices for, 412 days while it was closed during the shutdowns there during 2020. Not good. But you'll note that there have been lampposts that have fallen over. Unfortunately, in this case, actually injured a guest, which was amazingly unfortunate. You can see right here what may have caused that particular issue. And Disney, to their credit, actually went around the park and had been in the process of replacing lampposts and so forth, as illustrated here by Mice Chat. Actually, they talk about how the lampposts at the front of the park had been changed out and refitted now with LEDs that look sort of like the gas lamps and all of that, which is, I think, very, very good. Unfortunately, this is one of a couple of problems that they've had. Like, for example, here, this speaker system that actually fell down into a guest area.
Because God forbid we should make something sturdy in an area known for its earthquakes.
You would think. But Mice Chat actually documented this particular incident right here. Very, very not good. Mr. Toad's very bad day. As I was getting ready, this is Dusty Sage from Mice Chat speaking, for our live video on Thursday, I saw some medics running toward Fantasyland. When I wandered through the area later, I noticed that the queue for Mr. Toad had been roped off. There was an older woman having a loud conversation with some cast members about her grandchild. It seems that one of the slate shingles slid off the roof of Toad Hall and hit a young guest waiting in the queue. According to her grandmother, quote, there was blood everywhere. Not good at all. You can actually see right here, this is a very intricate facade. One of the most intricate, actually, in Disney's portfolio, I would say, just with how many exquisite details that there actually are. And you can see very closely where that tile actually dislodged from and how close in proximity it is to the actual queue. The queue actually runs alongside this portion of the structure. This roof was recently redone. Someone is going to have a lot of explaining to do. And Dusty is absolutely right. These roofs were recently redone. Actually, many of the Fantasyland dark rides were, especially in this area. How in the world does this happen? And, I mean, what might we see in terms of changes of procedure when it comes to Disney and I don't know, checking on construction? I don't know what to make of all this.
This is completely unacceptable because, like, it'd be one thing, if, like, because, Disneyland is a historic park, and stuff naturally gets old. Sometimes life happens, things are going to slip through the checks sometimes, and things happen that you don't expect from, weather, winds, any other type of thing that can happen in California these days. Who knows? When you have a recent renovation, someone messed up big time. And this is unacceptable. You don't just walk into a Walmart and start fearing for your life that the roof is going to come caving in on you. We are literally coming off of that event that happened over in Epcot, where literally the ceiling was falling in with, those planks or whatever have you. These are too many major events much too soon. And when there are parks out there, that are known for, safety protocols. Cedar Fair, I know, has won some awards for, like, safest park of the year or whatever have you. I know Disney is going to be probably the biggest tourism spot in America. But when you see headlines like this and it just consistently gets shuffled under the rug without, big assurance that, hey, things are going to get better, we're showing signs of it. When you're seeing consistent problem upon problem with just lackluster responses to it, or without any sort of fireworks, like, I wish the folks at Disney would take less time of, stroking their egos, so to speak, when it comes to, like, political issues or who we're shaking hands with in another country. Show them that we are taking care of our guests and our customers first, because I'm not going to be a Karen on them. Life happens, but you cannot have a recent event like this to where you had a million opportunities to make sure this wouldn't happen and you still failed a guest. And there was a grandchild involved here. The details are absolutely awful, and this should not be tolerated. And I really think this is something where Josh D'Amaro's team need to step in here and be like, hey, we messed up. This is what we're doing to make it better and safer than it's ever been.
And not to make it sound cold and mercenary, But if it turns out that whoever did these slate roof redos was basically a case of lowest bidder, I guarantee you that the payoff on the potential lawsuit for injuring that child is going to cost more than it would have to get somebody competent.
Oh, yeah.
These short-term so-called economies never pay off. Never.
This is just it was quite sad to hear. It was sad to hear because everybody going to a Disney park, especially Disneyland, is expecting an amazing once of a lifetime visit.
Let's put it this way: their bucket list of things to do today at Disneyland did not include having a roof fall on them.
Yeah, indeed, absolutely. And to see something like this happen, especially in Fantasyland itself, which is, you have so many small children around, especially during the daytime. I know Ivan, Bob, you guys can attest to that for sure.
Yeah.
It's just it's just disheartening to see, and this is one of kind of a number of incidents that have happened. What, in the last 2 years?
Yeah.
It's just it's unacceptable. Go ahead, Ivan.
No, I was just when I saw this, I didn't know about this, and I'm like, again, like, what's going on? Like, have they checked all their lamps? Have they checked and then this was just renovated. That's not a good look whatsoever. It's not a good look whatsoever. They have like hundreds of like technicians working those graveyard hours. What happened?
I mean, apparently, from what I've heard, those third shift cast members have been reduced greatly ever since 2020, which is
because
really,
I remember
really
in the
sad.
day them doing a documentary about the guy whose only job was every night after the park closed to polish all the brass doorknobs and striker plates on Main Street. Mm-hmm. That kind of attention to detail, and I don't think that happens anymore. It just doesn't.
I don't think so either.
What happened to the quality?
And when they say, well, we could do it every other night, the next step is let's do it every third night. And the next step is, well, do we need to do it? People's hands are polishing it by using the doorknob. And before you know it, and I have seen this. This is not just Disney. I had season tickets for 24 years at Dodger Stadium. And one of the things that they used to do is that an usher, not a security guard, but, the people with the fake straw boaters and the blue and white striped dresses or blazers, every single aisle in that entire stadium at the inning breaks, somebody would come all the way down, turn around and smile. If it was All-Star season, they'd hand out those little ballots, but otherwise they'd just smile and talk to people. And when the organ stopped playing and the game began again, they'd walk back up. And then they started saying, well, what if we did it every other aisle? And what if we did it every third aisle? And you know what happened? Fights increased, drunkenness increased, because when people know they're being watched, they behave better. And somebody made a false economy there, and it degraded the entire experience. And probably the same thing is going on here. What about that compressor belt at the backstage refrigeration at the France Pavilion at Epcot that caught fire? Or the popcorn thing that caught fire there? Or, like I said, the one that really caught my attention was when they had the sewage flooding in the bathroom overhead above the Soarin' area. Oh. If you have something leaked water, anybody who's ever watched Mike Holmes or any of these Reno shows know you tear open what's underneath it to make sure it isn't degrading it. They obviously didn't, because what was it? A couple of weeks later, boom, that ceiling fell in. And it's like, well, we should really look at that. Yeah, we will someday. Fine. Well, someday can't come soon enough.
You can see the aftermath of that specific incident right here, actually, where that ceiling kind of caved in, especially in a guest area as well. Marvin was able to document here.
When that there was water leakage above, it has to do some degree of damage and get in there and fix it preemptively. But that's what you'd do with your house if you had any kind of, self respect and knew that in the long run the insurance wasn't going to pay for it, and people were going to get hurt.
It's very sad indeed. Speaking of the quality of experience diminishing, actually, I believe Bob, you still have some time with us, or do you have to run?
I think I'm gonna get going because I'm
Okay.
So for those of you who don't know, I'm actually in a bit of pain because I had can't even say it, shoulder and
Shoulder.
shoulder and wrist surgery on Friday. So I'm in a bit of pain. I've been fighting it back this whole time, but I wanted to join you guys because I haven't been able to join you guys for the last few weeks. So I'm gonna take off and get some rest if that's all right.
Bob, I admire you so much doing what you've done. Years ago, I wrote a lyric for a musical that never quite happened, sung by an aging actress. And there was a line where she said, and I wrote, "People say the theater's in your blood. I say there must be some confusion because my blood is in the theater, enough for a transfusion." So you're giving your all for the cause, and we appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I wanted to try to come on and spend some time with you. I felt bad because my daughter's been out of school, so I haven't been able to join you guys for the last couple of weeks. And then, and obviously, I was in Florida for one of those weeks, and then unfortunately, I just had surgery, so I'm hanging in there. But unfortunately, I need to go rest and take some more pain meds. But I just want to say thank you for having me, and always a pleasure being with Vash and with Nolan and Erika and you, Lou. But obviously, Ivan, it's so great to see you, not just in the parks, but here on T3PO. So, guys, definitely check out Ivan. He's doing some great work out there too, and Nolan.
Thank you. Take care.
He's doing fantastic work. And take care, Bob. Please, there's your arm there.
Raspberry.
It's no good.
So my daughter is dying to do another live stream at home. So we are going to attempt to do a trivia night tomorrow night. So if you guys want to join us, we're doing Fantasyland and Star Wars trivia. I know the little eclectic there, but we're going to do those two things at 8 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow night. And we're going to do the show as long as I can. And then I will not be in the park for a couple weeks, but maybe next week I might be with the park streamers doing we just hit 1,000 subs and we're on our way to 2,000. So we're going to do a celebration stream, and I'm just going to walk around slumming it the whole time on that stream. So I hope you guys will come join me. Follow my social media at Park Streamers, or you can also follow me at Berry Place 28 on YouTube, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook. And I hope to see you guys very, very soon again.
Thank you so much. I know Juliet's been sharing a lot of this, a lot of your links in the chat, and also too, it's available in the description. I know Bear Place 28, along with Courting California and Theme Park Casual, actually had an amazing discussion with some amazing guests right there. Definitely check out what's going on, because they got so much going on right now.
We had John Jr., who's an Imagineer, and his son John D. Coeur, and their grandfather or father was also a Disney Imagineer who has his window up at Walt Disney World. So if you guys didn't see our park streamers hangout from last night, please go check it out. It was a great interview and a lot of fun, and some great insight from a production designer, because John Jr. actually worked on Muppet Vision and a few other amazing things. So go check it out.
Woo!
Very cool. Thank you so much, Bob, for that. Definitely check out Bear Place 28 and Park Streamers Hangout in the description. Thank you, Bob. Thank you for being a trooper. Seriously,
Right,
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Let's see here. We have at least two more stories I want to go ahead and get to really quickly right here. That Mice Chat's actually been covering pretty extensively. So let's see right here. A look at the future. Now that we know where the Imagineers plan to build this new Coco-themed boat ride between Pixar Pier and Paradise Gardens, and the new Avatar-themed area in Hollywood Backlot, let's take a closer look at what that actually means for theming and traffic patterns in California Adventure. Disney announced the new Coco-themed indoor boat ride will be built between Paradise Gardens and Pixar Pier, as said before. Thank you, Dusty. Which thematically is a logical location, since Coco is a Pixar movie. Building the attraction in this location, basically in the backstage area behind DCA's parade gate, will take care of the logjam problem that caused Imagineers to abandon the original idea of putting the attraction entrance behind Incredicoaster. But this could mean the end of parades, or could this mean the end of parades at California Adventure? Especially since other parade access point is behind Mission Breakout, where Avengers Campus is currently under construction. It's possible that the Pixar parade Pixar Pier Parade Gate will move, but where? It's located in a very tight space between the western side of the coaster and Boardwalk Pizza and Pasta. If we look at the overhead map, you can see that creating a new parade gate won't be easy. A giant show building will be squeezed into this area with a tight point of access between the restaurant and the coaster. It's possible that part of Paradise Gardens could be shaved away for a new gate, but we are quite curious how the floats will navigate backstage after a new show building is constructed. Ivan, what are the chances that DCA just says, you know what? No parade whatsoever. Let's just go ahead and open up everything to expansion for new attractions.
I know that they like their entertainment at Disneyland Resort, so that would be a huge loss because they need that entertainment. But as far as kind of tucking in the Coco attraction right there by the roller coaster, that's going to be a huge feat on their part, on construction's part. They already got rid of the trolley, so to make room for Avengers, so they're losing a lot of like space to like just do what they want, and then they have Avatar coming up just up near the entrance of the park. So I don't know, I think they're gonna have to sacrifice their parades for this. It looks like it. When was the last parade that they had there?
Well, you have what is it? Is it the Pixar? No, not Pal Around, but it's they have a Pixar themed parade there, I believe, playing right now. You can also see here if you even have a dog. Yeah. That's also the exit point for that attraction. That is it comes in every single Christmas or every single holiday event time right there, and December, fall, that kind of thing. So to lose possibly even that as well, I mean, that's like a huge loss.
And there's
DC California Adventure.
Wait, it's worse. Go back to the overhead diagram.
Yes, let me go ahead and see if
this spot is not just a parade access point. It is the logical point to build the bridge over Disneyland Drive to the new expansions happening across the street. Because that's wide enough to get people across there. Remember, all of that parking you see down there on the left, that's supposed to be more park under the Disneyland Forward extravaganza plans. And how do you get there from the existing park? Answer, well, isn't that the obvious logical place? Just as up north for the other piece of it, there is a logical place that is going to become problematic.
Yes.
And what they won't do, because it's expensive, I don't know if you've got access to it, probably not so fast, Vash, but to show what they did with Fantasy Springs in Japan, where they had a backstage access road they needed to get past, and they literally built this amazing entrance to the whole new Fantasy Springs area with a hidden bridge carrying that backstage road, so they could still have the regular transit backstage stuff there. They're not going to spend like that here. They just aren't, because then somebody else paying the bill.
Yes, I believe it's this right here for that specific. What is it? Fantasy Springs.
That's the backstage view, and then the view to guests is this beautiful swirly rock work that has the faces of all the characters behind there in it.
Right. And
but you'd never know this was there unless you saw this picture or an overhead from Google Earth or something.
Correct. I just don't really know whether or not they're going to go with that specific route right there. They could. And here's the thing. Anaheim actually sits on such a high water table that they could actually go under if they wanted to. And I do believe Disneyland Forward gave them the ability to shut down some roads in order to facilitate access to those areas provided by the Simple Lot, as we just showed on screen. See that right here. That's logistical question that's definitely perplexing for many, perhaps possibly their Imagineering, I'm not sure, but I always felt that the area directly behind Pixar Pier wasn't always the most logical, only because you just have so many backstage buildings back there. You have so much backstage infrastructure. It's like, where do these things go? And apparently, from what I'm hearing from my sources, like, they don't want anything to be moved. They just want everything to remain the same. It's like, okay, but then where does this new attraction actually go? And especially if it's going to be a boat ride, as has been intimated in the artwork, and I think actually confirmed by Disney themselves, how large is this thing going to be? I mean, this is roughly the size, I think, maybe a little bit bigger than Mermaid's Aerial Undersea Adventure, as you can see to the north of this plot right here. Maybe the size of Small World if you stretch it out, but again, that was made in the 60s.
Right.
There's just not a lot of options here.
And the question is, if you go up and you have lift hills and splashes, a la Pirates, for example,
sure.
At what point are you having to deal with visibility from elsewhere?
Right. That's the other thing too. It's just, yeah, like if you think about it, maybe thematically it works, but when you think about it logically, I don't know if it necessarily does. Mary White coming in here with the $10. Can't stay, but wanted to show this channel some love. Have a blessed day. Thank you so much, Mary
Thank
White.
you.
Do appreciate that. That's awesome. Ivan, you got any thoughts on all this?
My understanding was that they got they passed that whole thing with Anaheim to expand where Disneyland Hotel is too, by the parking lot.
Right.
And my understanding was that they would start expanding by that parking lot, and I personally would have thought it would have been a great idea to do Avatar there, but it looks like they're going to do it by Hollywood Studios, which is going to interrupt the thematic California Hollywood thing going on there, mostly California theming going on there, and it's really close to like Hollywood Boulevard and Grizzly Peak, which originally was thought that was going to be replaced, but I'm pretty sure it's not because of the Grand Californian. But I don't. My understanding was that they were going to do Avatar by the parking lot, which is a huge space, and they could even add Coco there. But I don't know. I mean, maybe they have other plans for that space at the parking lot.
I was pretty firm. Look, listen. If you're not going to have it at Disneyland proper, which was initially intimated by Bob Iger back in February of 2023, when all this stuff was announced. If I'm not mistaken, it was like, okay, if it's going to be in DCA, the logical place, especially as afforded by Disneyland Forward, is right there, as Ivan beautifully pointed out right there, the symbol lot. Like it makes total sense. You can have everything in show buildings, as is consistent with the sound or noise approvals that they got for Disneyland Forward, because they have a neighborhood right next door. You just have just a ton of land that you can do all kinds of stuff with here. And
you mean they have the blessing of size?
They do have the blessing of size, at least in this one area. But thematically, you could, whatever system that you actually use to get people over here, whether it be a bridge or something else, well, then you can kind of isolate this from the larger DCA theme. But for some reason, they're not doing that. They're going over here, which creates all sorts of problems. And honestly, because they won't move the monorail line as part of all of this, might actually very much restrict what they can actually do with this land, which is why maybe this land has gotten smaller as time goes on. We'll have to see how that all works out. Erika, Nolan, any thoughts on any of these issues here?
I'll go first, if you don't mind, Erika.
Please.
Disney's California Adventure is the Michael Eisner budget cut that just keeps on giving. No matter what you do, this park is always too small at the end of the day. And I know they say the best things come in small packages, but there's not enough space here. But you can't put all the fault here on him, because Iger had a golden opportunity over there with that parking lot, but yet they're still gonna cram everything they can. It's like, maybe this is our fault, guys, because maybe we're throwing too much in our closets at home, without actually doing a proper cleaning of our house and all that. So, I'm tired of blaming Bob Iger. I'll take the fault on this one, guys. Sorry.
Oh boy. Well, we'll have to see. I know there's a great entertainment program, or at least there was back in the day at DCA. I'd like to see that continue, but how long has it been since the Hyperion has been full with a show? It's been quite a while now, and it only ran for like what, 6 weeks or something, and then it was out.
I tell you what scares me, considering all these maintenance problems we've been discussing. The Hyperion being totally shut down for so long is at least the equivalent of the park shut down during COVID. And I sure hope they don't finally put on a show and have a piece of that fall on somebody.
That's a fair point. I know they spent buku bucks to restore that theater because it had been infested with rats and a couple of things that happened since the closure of the Frozen show at the onset of the pandemic right there. They refurbed it for Rogers the Musical, and then they've let it atrophy again. So that is actually a concern.
I still can't get over that nonsense naming. Rogers the Musical. Oh, it's about Roy and Dale? No, it's this guy named Steve. Who's he? Captain America. But I thought it was the black guy with the wings. But, I mean, it's just...
It's all over the place. Jay with the $2. Jay! All this extra park and less cast member parking spaces. Yeah, that's another problem that they have. That's an interesting
factor because if they park them further away... Their practice in Florida has been, but you don't get to clock in until your bus from the remote parking gets to the park.
I was about to make that comment.
That money is yours, not ours. You know,
it's so frustrating. I mean, I've heard cast members it takes like 2 hours to get to work, and in a situation in which you're not paid for.
They're not being paid for at all.
All right.
We'll give you a discount on a shirt once a year. Honest, we will.
Hopefully we get more cast member spaces and ones that are maybe more accessible to the parks themselves. Go ahead, Noah.
They might tolerate, being in traffic for 2 hours if they're, their job is kind of cozy, maybe buffing doorknobs all night during your shift. That'd be kind of nice. But as we saw, quality doesn't matter. So let's throw like a million things on them by the time they get to the park, because who cares about quality?
Yeah, and now you have, cast members bringing home their costumes and wearing them home and so forth. That was like kind of a policy ushered in, I believe, during the Paul Presser or even Cynthia Harris era. That is not great. Lots of
at Disney World, it's the same way.
Yeah.
They're not technically supposed to be wearing their uniforms outside of work, and I'll see them at bus stops, out in random areas. Going to work or whatever, taking transportation.
Also, part of the motivation of the utilidors, aside from, hey, we're raising the whole place because of the water table and it'll be there, was so you didn't have somebody in, let's say, cowboy wear wandering through Tomorrowland on their way to work.
Right.
And you know, that whole maintaining the ambiance of the area that, of course, is also about sight lines, which they ignore now. So.
That went out the door when leaving the Hall of Presidents after being immersed by Bush, Reagan, JFK, all of them. You're like, man, I just want to go chill with Lightning McQueen now.
Yeah, exactly. The Hall of Presidents. We still haven't heard any updates on that. Well,
except they're opening the lobby, is it?
Yes, because, the lobby is.
We hey. Italy listed as an attraction with no wait time.
Goodness gracious!
They won't.
Yeah,
they could get rid of what is not purely Disney, like Marvel and Star Wars.
Well, but had the other candidate won in the last election, would they have dubbed her Disney's Kamala?
Does that come complete with a little cartoon sidekick to go along with her, like a little parrot or something like that? A yes man.
Oh, boy. Well, thank you, Jay, for that super chat right there. We have one more story. And Ivan, Nolan, I know this is going to prick you up right here. From Deadline, Universal Studios Hollywood teases massive 72-mile-per-hour Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift coaster. Yes, we just got a big old update on this. This by Tom Tapp, June 12th, 2025. What's a theme park to do when it wants to expand and innovate, but is perched on a hilly lot in the middle of an urban sprawl? Answer, go with the flow. Universal Studios Hollywood today revealed new details about its in-the-works Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift coaster. It's the park's first ever high-speed outdoor roller coaster, and when it launches in 2026, it will be the fastest roller coaster in the Universal's Destinations and Experiences portfolio, topping out at 72 miles per hour. Dominic Toretto would be proud. The coaster will be the largest in LA by far, or in the LA park by far. In a lemons to lemonade situation, construction on the ride looks like it will take advantage of the steep terrain in the park to achieve the hair on fire speeds appropriate to Universal's fast film franchise. You can see this promotional video that they actually put out right here. I edited out some of the Fast and Furious clips just to make sure that we weren't infringing on copyright in any way, shape, or form. But you can see right here, this looks absolutely incredible. This is a project that we've been covering for quite some time here on T3PO Live, and well, finally we get a little bit more clarity about some of the more ambitious elements about this.
How many old Angelinos like me ever thought that the speed of a roller coaster in LA would be faster than the average speed of a drive on the freeways of LA? Because they may be officially 65, but 72 used to be, I'm not in a big hurry to get to work today in the old days, but not anymore.
Oh, man. It's
a nostalgia ride. The grandparents take their kids and say, "You want to see how fast and the way we used to drive back in the good old days on the freeway? Well, here it is."
Yeah, exactly.
Now, either.
In cars is definitely a thing, because that is right there your first look at the ride vehicles for this thing. There, I mean, it is absolutely beautiful. Ivan, I know you.
The muscle cars of the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, they all look like that.
Yes. Now, Ivan, I know you saw these up close. Because
there's a lot of photos. There's a lot of space even in the seating in terms of like leg room. And what you're looking at that right there, I think that might be like sound for the car sounds, and then what's on the seats will probably be music. So it's all decked out. They have some a speedometer theming there, but the actual like craftsmanship that went into the body of the vehicle is really amazing, and I can't wait. Maybe hopefully they'll have like in phases, like reveal the next car and then the next car, and they'll have it in display out. If they end up having all four of them in display at the courtyard here, that would be awesome. So maybe they'll do that.
Yeah, so the 4 vehicles that will be featured is Dominic Toretto's Charger, which, is definitely the lead that you see right here. Also, too, it is Paul Walker's Toyota
Viper.
No, I don't think so. It is a Toyota Supra from the first Fast and Furious, right? It was Paul Walker's. Brian's. And then I believe it's a Nissan Skyline is the other one from Walker.
Tyrese's car.
Oh, was it Tyrese's car? Okay, I guess that makes a little bit more sense. And then Han's car from Tokyo Drift is also featured, which is I thought that was a very, very interesting. You can see right here the quality that Ivan was talking about is immense. I mean, headlights. You got the engine sticking out right there. The blower.
Is that
that's
the most detailed roller coaster ride vehicle you've ever seen, Vash? Because it's one thing, when you're going on, rides, it's like, okay, it's a dark ride or something like that. For an actual coaster, I have never seen anything with this detail. And I've seen ride vehicles with speakers built into them.
I have never seen anything like this.
I wonder if they have haptic vibrators in the seats to go with the grumbling of the engine.
Well, they will have subwoofers, so that was the thing that was photoed there. Which I've never seen really or heard of subwoofers being featured, at least to this degree in an attraction like this. You're gonna have obviously stereo sound. It's gonna be off the chain here, which I think Velocicoaster does not have onboard audio. There's audio on the track itself, but I don't think it has onboard audio like this. Also, too, it's going to be a controlled spinning coaster, similar to like Guardians of the Galaxy, but unlike Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind and Epcot, it will have inversions, which is a little bit higher right there. Go ahead, Ivan, you were saying?
Oh no, I was just gonna add that yeah, the Velocicoaster doesn't have too much sound, and if you look at the pictures there, it's not straight on the track. You can see a little bit, just by a little bit, it's tilted as if it's.
That's the envelope gizmo, right? That
Correct.
framework,
the envelope,
which
test,
shows you
that's
how
correct.
far away they have to make it safe, because God knows where your arms are going to get thrown when it spins.
Exactly.
That's enormous as those things go, isn't it?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Nolan, you were going to say?
And this thing is going to be a jolt of speed too, because Vash was just talking about how this is going to be the fastest ride at a Universal Park. If any of y'all have ever been on Hagrid's motorbike ride, it is actually ridiculous how fast that thing goes. I've been on faster, but it is a high-speed ride. So imagine all these loops, all these inversions. It's going to be high speed. I know Erika is pumped for this thing. I know she's all about the roller coasters. And I know there might be some hesitation from everyone, in the audience right now, because it might be like, well, okay, can I bring my family on this? But don't worry. Vin Diesel always talks about the importance of family. So it should be a great ride for all the folks. Okay, I'll shut up now. Continue. Continue the point.
So this is Ohana mechanized? Is that the idea?
Ohana, Hollywood Drift.
I am just imagining the people stuck in traffic on the Hollywood freeway going through Lancashire Pass there, looking up at these things and saying, Caltrans, where the hell are you? So...
Yeah, and I think there's gonna be like maybe 3, maybe 4 launches, but the second one or the third one is the one that's gonna take you to 72. Once it does that, it takes you through the inversion, and once it finishes that, it does another launch that takes you over the escalators. So it's gonna be insane.
It's so wild to me.
I can only imagine how deep the pilings are for the supports for this thing, considering, again, you're in an earthquake zone.
Yeah, they're massive.
The degree to which this thing has to be anchored way down in that ground is astounding.
I know that delayed him a little bit there, Lou, because they wanted to get it. Make sure to get it right. Now, Velocicoaster goes 70 miles per hour. Hagrid's Magical Creature Motorbike Adventure goes about 50 miles per hour. Accelerator at Knott's Berry Farm goes 82 miles per hour. So you can kind of see the speeds we're talking right here. This is going to be quite the journey. Now, Erika, I will say, at least with these ride vehicles, no over-the-shoulder restraints. It's going to be just lap bar. So what do you think?
Nope.
Come on, you're super excited, I'm sure.
I love the theming and the cars, and I'm sitting here like, oh, do you have a shoulder strap? No, of course not, because we're not doing that anymore. It's freaking annoying.
Cars don't have
when they invented the phrase "ride the movies," they didn't mean as a stuntman. But surprise!
Now, apparently, these cars here and the seat restraints and system that's being used, we know this is going to be Intamin, obviously, but it looks like very similar to Velocicoaster, which last time I read Velocicoaster, it was awesome. So, and I never felt like I was falling out.
Intamin is known for this. They're known for this style. They have it out here on Terran, which is an Intamin coaster at Fantasialand, and I've yet to even talk myself to getting onto Terran, and Terran doesn't even go upside down. There's no inversions, but the sheer speed of it at 74 miles an hour. Ooh.
There's nothing to worry about, Erika. It's just an Intamin coaster. They only developed King Ka. Like, they don't make coasters that are that fast.
Yeah, it's taken me 2 rounds of Cheetah Hunt at Busch Gardens. I'm finally okay with that one, but it took me, I went on it the first time, freaked out, didn't go on it for years until last year. I went on it again, and
so is the
second
new incarnation of the phrase, but it's a dry heat now, going to be, but it's a smooth, terrorful ride.
I'll give them that. I've only been on one of their coasters. Cheetah Hunt's Intamin. And they are smooth, but I guess it's just a psychological thing with me. If I'm not strapped from the shoulder, I don't feel safe. And I'm
TMI, Erika.
pulling on
TMI.
it.
Terrible.
That's pretty amazing. With no shoulder strap, and it's going upside down at 70 miles an hour. That's
right.
I
mean,
it's a crazy feeling. I was when I went there, I did ride Velocicoaster when I went to Orlando recently, and there's nothing like it.
Yeah, I've heard you get
just don't push the little red button for the ejector seat. That's all I can say.
Go ahead, Erika. Sorry.
That free fall. Well, they're imitating that free fall,
Right.
And I'm like, it's bad enough I have nightmares, falling out of a building, or believe it or not, even roller coaster nightmares where I'm hanging on and just whipping around, which is really weird. I don't even know how I have dreams like that.
Don't you know, Erika? The job of these people is to make your dreams come true.
Oh, aren't you funny?
Or your nightmares, right?
Or your nightmares.
That too.
Other thing too, I want to remark here is this area. It looks heavily transformed, including Simpsons. And if you notice in this revised piece of concept art that they've just released, there's almost no Simpsons theming to be found.
Yeah.
So this goes along with a lot of the rumors that are coming out that Simpsons will be removed here shortly because, well, the contract does expire as Disney acquired Fox, acquired the rights to Simpsons. And
so long,
there
Spider Pig.
Spider Pig might be going there. One last thing.
I tell you what else it has to be.
Please.
It has to be quiet, relatively speaking. Because I will tell you from people I know at Universal that once upon a time, I forget how many different microphones and sensors they had all over the hill as a way of combating complaints by people who live up the hill from the studio about the noise from the parks, which is kind of like moving in under the approach path to LAX and then complaining about the noise as far as I'm concerned. But still, it's got to be relatively quiet.
Yeah, this is, I think, why you're getting this kind of barrier here in the style of the Starway as it currently exists right now. I think that's a noise barrier. What we're looking at right there. So, lots of things to take note in, for sure. At least for Universal. I know they've already talked about how they won't feature LEDs at night and a couple of other considerations because it's right next to a neighborhood. Erika, I want to ask you this real fast. This is going to be the last one right here. We don't have to talk it out to death, of course, because I know everybody's going to go. But this is a new coaster here from, I guess, the Lego coaster at Shanghai Legoland. And I want to go ahead and highlight, this is a B&M coaster from what I can understand. And to me, it looks like it's jackhammering a lot. What is going on with B&M right now?
Well, it or the person holding the camera.
Could be.
Stabilize
the camera. I find it hard to believe that B&M would build a coaster that's rough like that. But then again, how old is the coaster? Is it new? Like you said,
it's brand new. Brand new. This is the first POV we're having.
The camera. I think it's the guy holding the camera.
I hope so.
Well, you know what they say. You know what they say about the most important part of your car is the nut that holds the wheel. So
it's true.
What'd you think was going to happen? They made the coaster out of Legos.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, somebody actually said that. Did they make the coaster out of Legos? Because this thing is moving around quite a bit.
I think it's the frame rate of this camera can't keep up with it.
Because there's one shot. There's one shot where it looks like the camera kind of pans over, so I don't know if he's got it wrapped like around his head or if it's on his shoulders on a wrist thing. I don't know how he's got it strapped.
If it's a GoPro, maybe it could be that it doesn't have a very good stabilizer, but by that quality, I guess it wouldn't be a phone because they probably wouldn't let them carry it on the ride, but I don't know their safety precautions there, but most cell phones that have this kind of picture will have a built-in pretty darn good stabilizer. So this, I really hope it's the GoPro that's jacked up because B&M, I associate them, the first thing I think about with them when I think of B&M is actually smooth as butter. They made
Absolutely.
Gatekeeper over in Cedar Point. It's literally a ride that darts over the gates, and it's just the smoothest ride. It feels like you're flying like you're Superman. So I really hope it's this guy. No offense to the creator here.
When you're going around, it's pretty smooth. It doesn't start getting jerky until right. I don't know. Until right there when it really.
That.
Well, and if you consider if he's holding it in his arms or whatever, especially since it seems to be worse on the curves, your body naturally reacts to fight against the centrifugal force that's pushing you to the outside of that curve. So, you know what I mean? It's anyway, it's spooky to me.
Now I want to compare it to like somebody on Montu just to see with other inverts.
Real short too, isn't it? How long was that ride?
Montu?
Sure. No, this one that we're watching, I'm saying, is it as short as Tron?
Well,
You can tell it's a family coaster.
Lift, so.
It doesn't go upside down, so you can tell it's for families. Kids can ride this because it doesn't have the big inversions.
Yeah. Guess we'll have to wait and see for another POV, but from the aspect ratio, it looks like it might be meta glasses. But usually those are stabilized too.
That's true.
That's why when it pans, it just looks like head movement actually more than hand movement.
I'm a little bit concerned because we've seen reports of B&M's quality kind of going down recently within the enthusiast community. I believe there was a new wing coaster that just opened up, and people were like, they had kind of like one of those camera angles to really get the track profile, and it was bouncing around everywhere on that launch. So I just hope, praying that B&M isn't falling victim to quality management. Go ahead.
In a strange way, the standard has changed. The more I look at some of these coasters, especially the ones that switch tracks and move over and do all these crazy things, they remind me of equipment or product handling factory equipment. And I think when these games like, what is it, Satisfactory or whatever, when that's your standard as far as smoothness, you've got a lot to fight against. It's like boxes don't care how much they're juggled around while they're being moved from one place to another. People, not so much.
I imagine Theme Park Worldwide is probably going to make their way there. I don't know when. I haven't been on their channel in a while, and they've just had a baby, so they've got a newborn. But they literally travel all around the world reviewing parks, and the one thing Sean is really big on is coasters. That's the biggest thing he reviews.
Sean Rick's the Mouse?
So I'm wondering, there's another. There was another.
Because Sean is. I was actually going to have him on a couple of shows ago because I ran into him at a wedding recently.
Oh, you were?
Yeah. Yeah.
I absolutely love him and Charlotte. They are so cute. I've been following him since before he met Charlotte, when it was his little entourage of buddies on his channel.
Ooh.
Oh, well, maybe it's another Sean, because I was thinking about Sean and Jess.
Those entourages of buddies can get you in trouble, as some of us here
Sean
know.
Pembroke Worldwide, and his wife is Charlotte.
Okay. Well, maybe I'm thinking about someone else there.
They're in the UK.
Oh, gotcha. You see, that's the distinction right there. But you can see in this shot right here, the bouncing.
The bouncing on that straightaway. My God, look at this.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. God, that's.
I mean, people have been noticing this from B&M coasters recently, where they have just quality issues.
Look at the middle.
Go ahead.
It's a design flaw.
Footage is definitely concerning, but correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm mixing up my rides here. I do seem to recall we did have some concerns with Stardust Racers over in Epic Universe, and some of the ride vehicles I think were looking a little janky. I will say when I rode it twice, I didn't notice any shakiness to the ride. It could be, from the angle, just maybe when you're on there, the G-forces or whatever have you, isn't all that bad. But it is concerning for ones that probably the manufacturer that's most known for the smoothest coasters in America is showing signs like this. Like, honestly, I don't know about y'all. B&M were probably my favorite, so I hope they rebound.
The big thing that comes to my mind is this is when it's new. What about a year or 2 or 5 or 10 down the road? What's it going to be like?
Right.
Using,
I mean,
I don't know.
Go ahead, Ivan.
I would say Intamin. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, go ahead. You're good.
I was gonna say I think Intamin is out of all the companies out there has the smoothest coasters right now. I would say B&M comes in second to that. And I'm wondering though, you think maybe it's one of these? I know a Mac has that technology where, well, and so does Intamin, because Velocicoaster does the same thing where when you sit in the seats, the train calibrates to the weight of all the bodies that are on the train. So you get, I guess, the same quality ride each time. I don't know if B&M has that. So I'm questioning maybe it's wobbling because there's no bodies in the seats and maybe you need weight.
I guess it would come down to what the proprietor would request B&M to actually include, because I know B&M did have some weight calibration attached to Dueling Dragons back in the day. Do you remember this, Ivan? Nolan?
Or like twice. Yep.
Yeah, Islands of Adventure, when that park actually opened with that feature in place by B&M for that dueling coaster. Go ahead, Ivan.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that the Stardust POV right here, that's Meta Ray-Ban 100%.
Right.
But I went on that like maybe like 4 or 5 times. Tried both sides. The first time I can understand why people might say, "Oh, it's really shaky," but I think the more I went on, it was like really smooth. And I always sat in the front. I sat a couple times in the back where you feel it more, but you can tell right there. Mac did a good job right there with the.
Oh, absolutely. And
Ivan, I need to ask before we switch. You rode orange, right? You took the intense route, right? You didn't take the baby route, right?
I did the what is it? The green. That's the intense one, right?
No, I thought green was more intense.
No. Because I know there's yellow.
I think the mark of why that ride is so wonderful is that people make claims for both colors as being, oh, that's the one you want to ride. I've seen people, make sure you do the green. Make sure you do. No. Make sure you do the. And the answer is, I got to go at least twice, right? And do both.
I love your point.
But what I always love about the POV shots like this, you watch the hair, the girls with long hair in the seats in front of you, and you see it go right and then left and then up and then down. And that tells you which way it's really throwing people because they can't control that. Look there. Okay. But I've seen others that are more indicative. Anyhow, I want to do it. And I don't normally.
I just, I wanted to bring that. We talk about theme parks here. I wanted to bring that to all your guys' attention because I don't know, Six Flags now being taken over by Cedar Fair.
It's made by Lego, so whatever.
Somebody actually said in the chat, which I thought was brilliant. Couldn't afford Legos; they had to go with Mega Blocks instead. That was pretty good. That was awesome. So there you go.
Okay.
Let's see. Nolan, what do you got going on over there at Nolan Thunder?
See, this game has been the bane of my existence for like a year, okay? Because I'm making a video based off of it about an experimental AI that was built into every copy, causing the game to be evil, like a B-movie horror thing. And it's evil, but I will give a documentary-styled explanation of all the wonderful work that went into the creation of this game. And you can find it on my channel, on my series, Lost in the Files.
How soon?
Not soon enough, man.
You've been promoting this for
summer. It's going to come out in summer, and you can hold me to it. I am trying to get this out. I'm not going to promise a month, but it's going to be done before the end of the summer. Hold me to it. I'm going to rock your socks off, Lou.
There was this wonderful joke back in the day about 3 women comparing their husband's performance to their jobs. and their avocations. And one said, well, my husband is a sprinter and he's short, but he's intense. And the second one said, well, mine's a marathon runner. He's slower, but he lasts all night. And the third one says, well, mine works for Microsoft and he spends all night promising me how great it's going to be someday when he gets it. You are approaching
the Microsoft levels.
Yes.
Of delivery.
It's Nintendo, not Microsoft. We'll be fine.
Oh, goodness gracious. Erika, what do you got going on over there in your neck of the woods?
Same thing, different day. Absolutely nothing.
But she does it with such style and elegance that we don't care.
Indeed. Indeed. I know you.
I'll be on Lorena Creole's Spice Lounge tonight at 7:30 Eastern time. So you can catch me and her there and chatting about whatever topics she's got on pop culture and movies, Hollywood, all that stuff. And I have just, I don't know, my there's just a lot going on with the family. So it's just this week I just have not had any juice in me to do anything to work like that. So
have you tried drinking Capri Sun?
The Capri Sun. I feel like that's a joke I should know and I missed.
I think it's a juice joke.
It's a refreshing juice.
A refreshing juice. Indeed.
No,
and if you need... go ahead.
I've thought about rebranding. I'm back and forth on rebranding. It's just my mental headspace isn't really in my channel. It's easier to stream hop and hang out with friends right now. They really do a whole lot with our channel. Yeah, it's just kind of where we're at right now.
Fair enough.
Time. I'm sure there's going to be good things coming because you have a creative mind, my friend.
Yeah,
indeed.
I mean, I got some cool Halloween stuff up there from last Halloween, and technically I'm in my preseason, so I haven't even bought anything yet. That's how behind I am. I should be knee deep in buying things and doing my DIYs. Yeah, I'm really behind.
That's all right, but hey, you know what? When Erika does go ahead and post something, go ahead and follow our channel by subscribing there. That way you'll be notified when she drops some content. Well, hey, it's when, not if. When, Erika. There you go. Ivan, what do you got going on over there at Park Hoppin'? And do you have a channel of your own? I do believe you did. I just don't have it on me right now.
Be, well, Park Hoppin', stay tuned for West Coast coverage there. Jay and Krista doing their thing over there at East Coast Orlando. They're going to be doing more live streams at the parks. And yeah, there's going to be some changes with Monday live streams. We'll still have them, but maybe not the same capacity because people really love the in-park streams. It's Park Hoppin', right? And not Park Talking. But you can actually find me with the Valientes name. Just spell it out like let's see, is it on my thing right here? Valientes, Valiantes. It's a really weird name that I came up with like years ago for like a character that I wrote, and I never changed it. But there you go. There I am. So all of my epic coverage that I got is going to be being trickled this summer. I have a mega movie vlog out later today. There are some of the videos for Epic Universe will include like a Dark Universe walkthrough, Easter eggs. The one that really got me, gained me some pounds was I went to every single food spot at Epic. I mean, I was there all those days, and I ate at least one entree, maybe even dessert, drink at that spot, and I have a whole food vlog. A guide that's gonna come up for that. I missed one, and I regret I missed one. It's in Ministry of Magic. It's the restaurant that's like hidden in that alley.
Oh yeah.
I missed that one, and I had it in my list that I got to do it, but I missed it, and maybe I missed it because it's just hidden. Some people actually
it is kind of intentionally hidden away in some strange way, and
and
that's interesting.
So that's the one I miss. I'll have it noted in the video or in the description. But basically, I did everything. Even like the food spots, the drinks, and then all that stuff. So I'll also be doing like reels on my Instagram of like epic stuff. So I got a whole slew of stuff that's going to be trickled there, here, and on Instagram.
Very cool, Ivan. Hey, I love your B-roll. I love your the footage that you've been documenting of Fast and Furious and your compilations there. In fact, I believe Ludacris actually.
Oh, I have a follow-up to that.
Oh, yeah, please.
So I released this Fast and Furious reel like months ago. My footage, like going there and filming, and then I posted it. And then I guess I found out that Ludacris remixed it, but he didn't had a sticker or like a credit. Either the person running it downloaded it and reposted it, or they remixed it. There's a cheat. You can put a sticker on and hide it away from the view. Right. So I was like, what? So you know what? I was like, well, let me report it, I guess. I did comment and send them a message. I wasn't expecting anything by the message. Say, hey, blah, blah, blah. This is my footage, my reel. Hey, let's collaborate. I'm down to collab and get a credit, whatever. So just like last week, after 3 months, Instagram emailed me and said they took down the video.
Oh, no.
They took down, and his version had like 3 million views.
Oh,
I wasn't expecting anything, but I'm like, okay. I
well,
guess there's something.
I suppose that works right there. Oh man, it's sad that Ludacris couldn't reach out and be like, hey, you know what?
I'm pretty sure it wasn't him.
Yeah,
it was whoever's running his account.
Man, that's smart. Well, hey, you know what? You want the original right here? You got to go to the source, and the source is Ivan right there. Definitely check him out, whether it be on Twitter or on his YouTube channel. He does some amazing work. I have a profound respect for him. That's why I wanted to have him on, because you know what? He's a great creative mind right there, and he loves theme parks as much as we do. Lou, what do you got going on in your neck of the woods, good sir?
Well, as you certainly know, I'm now sort of a semi-regular on the Monday Night Pro Show, and here, and with you on Sundays with the Backlot, and of course the Genre Guys. And I think I should announce something about that regarding Nolan, because Nolan is scheduled to come on as a guest host on the Genre Guys a few weeks down the road, because we're doing a documentary about pinball that we thought would be right up the alley. You haven't heard this yet? Hangry hasn't gotten in touch with you?
No, I think I just got.
We used to record every Saturday night. We used to record every Saturday night, and then we decided that because of increased pressures on Nolan's time and on Lauren's time, I should say, we're going to do 2 movies every other Saturday night, and then of course they'll only broadcast once at a time. So we just did. What did we just do? I forget. There's so many wonderful films, but we're going to do this pinball movie called Special When Lit, which is a freak show. I'm warning you now. You want to see a lot of lonely guys who only have pinball, go watch this movie, but it's fascinating nonetheless. I had no idea pinball was actually banned in most of the country for 30 years because, oh my God, it's gambling. And the flipper saved it because that made it skill, not luck. And it took it off the banned list. And then that same show, when you do 2 with us, I don't know if you're aware of it, but you're going to be joining us in Zorro Land with Banderas and all the rest of that. So
Banderas is in it?
Yeah. What's it?
Whoa,
Banderas?
Zorro, the Mask of Zorro?
Yes.
With Antonio Banderas? Of course,
Yes.
Nolan. Come on. That's a good movie, by the way.
I knew that.
When we think of men in masks playing
Banderas,
pinball,
yes.
we think of you, so. But meanwhile, we're doing that awful Batman movie. Oh, God, Batman.
Which one?
Forever. Oh,
I want to be on that one. That one's this Saturday night, so I think we're kind of booked up. But
We're going to do that, and we're going to do the great outdoors. And anyway, and then, of course, there are a bunch of them waiting to debut here once Vash enhances them with his usual skill, which I wish he'd just get faster and less skillful, but that's like
I might have to. I have to because I'm way behind. But
Lou,
anyway,
I can just come on before the show starts, and I'll just start singing "Kiss from a Rose" by Steel before, serenade the audience with my majestic voice.
And then I have a secret project in the works, which Vash, I might be able to announce it on Sunday. We'll see. I'm having some technical fine tuning going on, but people keep saying they can't get enough of me. Thank God my wife said it first, but by now maybe she's not so sure. But and she's laughing in the background. But there's going to be a little bit more of me out there on topics more further afield from here, and topics in a venue where I don't have to be so careful about saying Teutonic dictatorial personages instead of the little guy with the mustache and all the other silly inhibitions that YouTube puts on language. But that's a whole other story. Okay, fantastic. I'll shut up now. Honest.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're fine. Hollywood Backlot with Lou and you every single Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Definitely check us out.
They might send a question.
Yes, and we do take questions, and those questions can be submitted at t3ponline@yahoo.com. Thank you so much for joining us here on T3PO Live. This was an amazing show, excellent show. One that went on maybe a little longer than I was intending. So sorry, everybody, for on the panel right there. I do apologize.
What have they got to do that's better than this? We could go on. No, we couldn't. Honestly,
that's a good point right there. Hopefully, it was a lot of fun because I know it was a lot of fun for me. All right, let's go ahead and get you on over to Mr. H, currently in progress right now, and hopefully you join us all next time. T3PO Live, 3 p.m. Eastern Tuesday. Thanks, guys. We'll see you later.